We all love a great villain, not just because they're evil, but because they challenge everything the hero stands for. The best ones don't just threaten the world, they haunt it. They don't just fight the hero, they force the hero to become something else. And in Adventure Time, that idea isn't just present, it's built into the core of the narrative. At first, we had cute gag villains like the Ice King, who was merely a villain of the week and soon became an ally to Finn and Jake. However, there was a character that fundamentally altered the lighthearted nature of the show. A character that not only tortured characters in the Prime universe, but across the multiverse. A character who, against all odds, became a hero, delivering one of the best character arcs in the entire show. This is the full story of the Lich, the end that had to begin. If you're new around here, please subscribe. According to my analytics, most people who watch my videos aren't subscribed yet. I create video essays on games, movies, and other shows, and by clicking that one button, it helps keep me motivated to produce the best content I can. With that, let's get to the video. We begin in Season 1, not Season 2, because contrary to popular belief, the Lich actually makes a brief appearance in the episode His Hero. This episode introduces Billy, the legendary hero of Ooh, and the major role model for Finn and Jake.
I love you, Billy! I got a secret crush on you, Billy! Yeah!
During a quick montage of Billy's adventures, we see him defeat the Lich. Interestingly, the Lich is shown with 2 horns in the scene, but in later appearances, he only has 1, implying that Billy was the one who broke it. Small detail, but it adds a bit extra to their rivalry, I guess. With that, we get to the first 2-parter of the show in Season 2, Mortal Folly and Mortal Recoil. This is the episode where shit got serious in the show. Princess Bubblegum explains to Finn and Jake who the Lich is, and how Billy had once imprisoned him inside this candy tree. We hear the Lich's dark, otherworldly voice whispering spells meant to control anyone nearby. Fortunately, Finn, Jake, and PB are protected by these enchanted gems. Unfortunately, this snail, the Where's Waldo of the show, crawls out of Finn's bag, gets possessed, and sets the Lich free, and he immediately heads to his well to regain power, prompting Bubblegum to hand Finn Billy's gauntlet, the only known weapon that can defeat him. Yeah, we'll see how true that is in just a moment. They eventually catch up to him, and after taking out his goons, Finn goes for the killing blow, and... And in the chaos, Finn's protective gem shatters, and this is where we witness one of the Lich's most terrifying abilities. He tries to take control of Finn using dark magic and the cold atmosphere that fills his lair, but thanks to the sweater Princess Bubblegum gave him, a symbol of love and warmth, Finn resists. He counters with this illegal move while the Lich laughs maniacally, until finally he's defeated. Well, all's well that ends well, right? Wrong.
Go free!
In Mortal Recoil, PB is revived, but starts acting deranged. It's no surprise that she's being possessed by the evil essence of the Lich, something the Ice King confirms, saying he witnessed it all happen back at the well. She grows into this tall, grotesque monster, tosses Jake's ass, and with Ice King's help, they take her out. Well, all's well that ends well, right? Wrong. But it's okay because she gets revived and she's no longer possessed by him, bringing the Lich to an end. However, in the final moments of the episode, we see the same snail from the beginning, waving at us with eerie green lifeless eyes. While the Lich doesn't appear for a while after this, the snail appears in every episode, a subtle nod from the writers that the Lich is still out there, always watching, silently waiting for his next move. In the Season 4 episode In Your Footsteps, Finn and Jake meet a mysterious bear who starts mimicking Finn's every move. He doesn't really mind and even finds it flattering, but Jake grows increasingly suspicious. Turns out he just wants to be a hero like Finn. By the end of the episode, Finn decides to gift the bear the Enchiridion, encouraging him to use it to become an even better hero. The bear gratefully accepts. But the next morning he climbs a mountain, and we're hit with one of the show's most unexpected plot twists.
Did you bring the book? Yes. One step closer.
What first seemed like a harmless, almost filler episode suddenly reveals itself as the setup for one of the most pivotal moments in the entire series, and that is the Season 4 finale, The Lich. Finn has a dream that the snail kills Billy. He would usually chalk it up to just a nightmare, but unfortunately, the Cosmic Owl was there, meaning it is a prophetic dream. Paranoid, he and Jake tell Billy about it, and the guy asks them to accompany him on an important mission in defeating the Lich once and for all. You can tell, however, that there's something completely off with Billy. The mission involves gathering magical gems from all the princesses across Ooh. After gathering most of them, Finn discovers the Enchiridion inside Billy's sack.
How'd you get this?
I found it in the mouth of a bear.
Well, judging by the dream and what happened in the previous episode, you know something bad is coming. This is also the moment we finally understand just how important the Enchiridion really is. With the princess's gems, the book activates a kind of virtual guide, a cosmic presentation explaining the multiverse, wormholes, and dimensional travel. At the center of it all is Prismo's time room. Once the final gem is placed into the book, it'll create a portal capable of transporting anyone to any dimension in the multiverse. Billy says,
I'm gonna push the Lich in there.
Oh, cool.
It's unfortunate how easily Finn and Jake are convinced here. Logically, pushing the Lich into a portal that can access any dimension in the multiverse should raise some alarm bells, but because it's Billy saying it, they don't hesitate or question it. So Finn and Jake break into the Candy Kingdom to steal Princess Bubblegum's gem, and she quickly realizes what's happening.
Finn, stop! That's not Billy! It's the Lich!
The Guardian attacks him, revealing the Lich underneath Billy's skin. Even seeing this now, I can't believe this was in a Cartoon Network show.
You know that was a ghost wearing a dead guy. That might be the nastiest thing I've ever seen.
The idea that the Lich ambushed Billy, killed him, and wore his skin, that is insane. Finn gets angry and tries to break the book, but instead, it suddenly opens a portal. The Lich thanks Finn and steps inside. Jake quickly grabs onto him, and Finn tries to hold on too, but it's not enough. They all get sucked into the portal, which closes behind them. What comes next had 9-year-old me screaming for answers. We see Finn playing a flute, with Jake, just a normal dog, by his side. Then Finn's mother calls him inside for something urgent, and he walks into his house, right before the credits roll. One of the most mind-blowing cliffhangers I had ever seen at that age. By this point in the show, the Lich had already proven just how terrifying a villain he could be. He took over Princess Bubblegum's body after being defeated by Finn, then managed to get the Incaridian as a snail.
What a monster!
This episode also reveals a new ability he has, that he can mimic the powers of those he kills, as seen with him using Billy's powers. Using and wearing Billy's body is probably the most horrifying thing the Lich has done, and it's what makes him such a compelling villain for Finn and Jake. Before, they fought him because he was a threat to the world, but now he's made it deeply personal by completely defacing their hero. With season 4 coming to a close, we arrive at season 5, to another two-parter, Finn the human and Jake the dog. Finn and Jake follow the Lich into Prismo's time room, where the Lich wishes for the extinction of all life. He then disappears. The pair are terrified but also confused as to why they're unaffected, and Prismo explains that because they're inside his time room, they're exempt from his wish, at least until they make their own wish. After some thought, Finn makes a seemingly harmless one.
I wish the Lich never even ever existed.
We then return to the new reality introduced at the end of season 4, the farm world dimension. This universe was created by Finn's wish, and without the Lich, many things are different. For example, Jake is just a normal dog, Finn lives with his parents, and magic is non-existent. I won't get into the whole plot of farm world Finn because he deserves a whole video dedicated to him. Leave a comment down below if you guys want that, so I'll touch on some of the important points. In this reality, Simon had sacrificed himself and froze a nuclear bomb that would have resulted in the Lich being created, as well as plunging the world into mutagenic horror. We see a frail Marceline by Simon's corpse, protecting the crown. She does a horrible job as Finn steals it because his family needs money. However, when his family gets in trouble with this gang, he puts on the crown. He unleashes his fury on the gang, saving his family but losing himself in the process. Because of his insanity, he causes that mutagenic bomb to go off anyway, making things go from bad to worse.
Oh, Mitchell!
It infects that version of Jake, who eventually becomes that world's Lich. While all this chaos is going on, our Jake is still in Prismo's time room, trying to find a wish to fix everything. With some help from Prismo, he wishes for the Lich to have wished for Finn and Jake to go back home to Oo. We see events play out like before, only this time, the Lich's wish has been changed.
The extinction of all life for Finn and Jake to go back home to Oo. Huh? No way!
Finn and Jake return home to Oo, with none of the atrocities of Farm World ever occurring. Or so it seemed. I'll get back to this later. A full season later, in the two-parter Wake Up / Escape from the Citadel, we see the Lich stationary in Prismo's time room. Everyone's partying and kinda just trolling the guy, including Glob himself. Prismo explains that the Lich's sole purpose is to cause mass destruction, but because he's trapped in the time room and unable to fulfill that purpose after making his wish, he's effectively frozen in place.
Like a machine without a purpose.
At this point, Finn and Jake are trying to get to the Citadel because that's where Finn's father is. Go watch my video on breaking down Martin as a character if you haven't already, by the way. But to get to him, they have to commit a cosmic crime. Prismo tells them to wake up this old guy, which will kill him. They refuse, and well...
Wake up.
Wait, I've changed my mind!
The Lich kills Prismo, adding yet another major figure to his growing list of victims. The Guardian then appears and takes him to the Citadel, a high-security intergalactic prison. Finn and Jake follow him there. Although the Lich arrives in this frozen state, he eventually manages to free himself, and in the process, releases the other prisoners as well. He comes face to face with Finn and Jake, and we get one of his most badass moments.
Fall.
He begins to monologue, talking about his plan to command an army, using the prisoners he just freed to lay waste to entire worlds.
You are strong, child. But I am beyond strength. I am the end. And I have come for you, Finn.
And Finn mistakenly slaps him with this healing solution, which triggers the substance body horror sequence so grotesque Jake pretends to be knocked out. And somehow the Lich has transformed into this giant cute baby.
I like him a lot.
When the two get back, they drop baby Lich off to Tree Trunks and Mr. Pig, where he is adopted.
Hello!
With that, we arrive at one of the most underrated episodes in the show, Evergreen. Millions of years ago, not thousands like my dumbass said in my video analyzing it, we are first introduced to the Catalyst Comet. Every 1,000 years, this comet hits Earth and brings an agent of change. The particular comet we see in this episode is green and even has horns, with Evergreen saying,
It aches for our extinction.
At the end of the episode, this comet lands and gives birth to the evil essence of the Lich, bringing with him chaos in the land of Oo. The next time we see baby Lich, now named Sweet Pea, is in the episode Gold Stars. We see that he's been having recurring nightmares of the Lich. Tree Trunks and Mr. Pig comfort him, however, telling him that
it was just a dream.
It's his first day of school, and we see the banana guards as well as Finn and Jake surrounding the area. They want to take him to school because
we wouldn't want Sweet Pea freaking out or awakening any latent evil spirits within himself.
The pair are worried he might go rogue at any moment, but true to his name, Sweet Pea is actually incredibly kind, even helping a squirrel on the way to school. Unfortunately, on his first day, Sweet Pea gets bullied by some brats.
You're not even a real kid! Huh? You're nothing but a big, weird baby man!
And the King of Oo approaches him. He manipulates him to do this belly dance on the street. This causes people to laugh uncontrollably, and while they're distracted, the King of Oo and his associate pickpocket them. As payment, he gives Sweet Pea a gold star, but urges him to never tell his parents how he got it. This continues on for a while, until one night when Mr. Pig and TT go out for a date, Sweet Pea sneaks off to get one final gold star. There, he overhears about what the King of Oo has really been doing. They find out he's eavesdropping, and they follow him home and threaten him, stating that they'll burn down his home if he doesn't leave with them to continue robbing people. The King of Oo then begins mocking him, saying that people only like him because he's funny to laugh at.
I mean, look at yourself. You're a big weird baby man.
And that's when it happens.
Stop.
I
have learned much from you,
and now
for your education. Before there was time, before there was anything, there was nothing. And before there was nothing, there were monsters.
And hey, would you look at that, that's Orgulorg, the main villain of this season. After the trance, the two run away screaming, dropping all their loot, with Sweet Pea saying,
Just a dream.
The next day, the same bullies try to mock him by copying his dance. But this time, Sweet Pea doesn't cry. He smiles, leans into it, and finally walks into school with confidence. This episode highlights one of Adventure Time's core strengths, subverting expectations. Just like Finn and Jake, we the audience were expecting the Lich to take over Sweet Pea and wreak havoc across Oo at any moment, but he doesn't. That dual voice during the trance, both Sweet Pea and the Lich, shows us that the darkness hasn't been completely erased within him. It shows that while Sweet Pea may seem cute and harmless for now, when pushed, he can tap into that power of the Lich, not to destroy, but to protect himself. Soft-spoken Sweet Pea on the outside, lured Lich within. I'll briefly mention the episode Be Sweet. Sweet Pea tells Tree Trunks and Mr. Pig that he keeps having a recurring dream about the comet, and that he senses a new one coming to Earth. Even as Sweet Pea, the Lich maintains a deep connection to the comet. In the season finale, Finn comes face to face with the comet, which says this:
I've embodied all that is good and evil.
I've always found this fascinating. I love stories that explore how the hero and villain are two sides of the same coin, like Batman and the Joker. Finn represents all that is good, while the Lich embodies pure evil. You could say that the comet, through its past incarnations, brought forth these two opposing forces to maintain balance in the world. It makes their rivalry all the more profound. With that, we now arrive at the season 7 episode Crossover, easily one of the best episodes in the show. Remember back in season 5 when Jake wished that the farm world never happened? Well, it turns out that reality continued to exist as its own separate universe. Prismo tells our Finn and Jake that Farmworld Finn is trying to open a gateway to the multiverse using his world in Kyridian. If that happens, it's likely that everything is going to go to shit. He gives them the Maid, the best weapon in the show, to take Ice Finn out. However, they feel guilty as they're about to do it, so they ignore Prismo's instructions.
This is bull juice.
Oh, flip!
And try to steal the Inkyridian instead. They fail, and it's revealed that the world's Lich has been manipulating Ice Finn in creating the portal. Our Finn gets frozen, and the Lich is about to kill Jake, but Finn's grass arm slices off the Lich's hand. Jake then pushes that hand into the portal, where it now exists across every dimension, including our universe, where it lands on BMO. In the end, we get one of my favorite scenes.
A man needs a maid! A man needs a maid! A man needs a maid!
Housekeeping.
Ah!
And in that universe, the Lich is completely obliterated. This came at a cost. As I mentioned, that Lich hand now exists in every universe. Even worse is that some universes probably have a regular Lich too, meaning those universes are twice as but hey, who gives a shit about them, right? In our universe, the Lich became Sweet Pea. I'll briefly touch on the Elements miniseries. After everyone was transformed into elemental versions of themselves, Sweet Pea remained unchanged. This suggests that the Lich's evil essence is so powerful that it can resist other forms of magic. However, an interesting moment happens at the end of the miniseries. When LSP uses her wave to turn everyone back to normal, the wave passes over Sweet Pea, and the horn that Billy had broken off returns. LSP's anti-elemental magic is said to restore things to their essential form, yet Sweet Pea does not revert to the Lich. I guess the healing substance Finn used in the Citadel is just way more powerful than we realized. The Lich is described as undead, but after exposure to this substance, he is imbued with life, essentially being reborn, much like a baby. The horn's regrowth was never explained in universe, so feel free to share your thoughts or theories down below. 2 seasons later, in the episode Whispers, Sweet Pea comes running and tells Finn and Fern that he's been hearing a monster whispering bad things to him at night. Finn dismisses it, saying that he's probably been having bad dreams, to which he responds,
No, I only have one dream anymore.
100% understandable response. Like, what the hell are you supposed to say to that? Finn and Fern decide to stay with Sweet Pea for the night, but they discover the Lich's severed hand crawling over Sweet Pea. They manage to trap it, but the hand warns that once it reminds Sweet Pea of his true nature, it's all over. We then see Sweet Pea briefly lose control, possibly because after regaining his horn in Elements, the Lich within him has gotten stronger. Finn tells Fern to watch over Sweet Pea while he goes after the Lich's hand.
Okay, Lich, get ready to die. Again! For like the 5th time!
Finn arrives at the place where he first defeated the Lich back in season 2, but the hand catches him off guard. That's when we hear this important piece of dialogue.
While the mortal world doubts and questions, I know exactly what I am. I am the ceaseless wheel, the last scholar of Golb.
Up until this point, we'd heard Golb's name mentioned several times, but this moment confirms that the Lich is connected to him. As Finn hangs on for dear life, Sweet Pea shows up, pulls this move, and it seems like he's turned fully evil. But just like before, he goes against his true nature and defeats the hand.
You're a natural!
It's remarkable. A being born from death, destruction, and pure evil somehow manages to overcome everything he's supposed to be and do a complete 180. I'll briefly touch on the 1,000-year time skip at the end of the series. Most of the characters we know are long gone. In my previous video, I mistakenly said there wasn't enough evidence to confirm whether Marceline and Princess Bubblegum are still alive, but there absolutely is. And guess who else is? For a brief moment, we see a giant figure wandering the lands of Oo, wielding Finn's sword. This is a fully matured Sweet Pea. What's even better is that in the opening sequence of the episode, we see Shermie and Beth riding on his head. This suggests that Sweet Pea has become their version of Billy, a legendary hero and mentor they look up to. The Lich's story doesn't end there, as after the show ended, we had a mini-series called Distant Lands. In what I'd call the final ending to the show, titled Together Again, everything that happens after his DLC IMO, the Lich appears once more. After Finn gets old and dies, he arrives in the Dead Worlds trying to find Jake. This is where we're introduced to a new death, not the original one we've seen before, but his son. At one point, he ends up fighting his father, and he begins to hear a dark, whispering voice urging him to kill his dad. Eventually, he gives in and takes his father's place, becoming the new death himself. In a subtle blink and you'll miss it moment, we see the Lich's hand in the background. It turns out that the Lich has been slowly influencing him all along, so much so that the new death even refers to Lich as his best friend. Toward the end of the special, Finn and Jake manage to hold the new death in place, when his voice morphs into something familiar.
Heroes of Oo, it's only a matter of time.
I know that voice.
Finally dead, aren't you, child?
Not before you. I slayed you a bunch of times!
What I love about this scene is in a matter of 10 to 20 seconds, we see a montage of every Lich encounter. Goated television. Ever since Death's son became the new Death, the Lich has been possessing him. There's actually some subtle foreshadowing of this at the beginning of the episode, when he says,
Thank you for all the strength you give me. Thank you for being my best friend the entire world.
The Lich, as he always says, wants to end all life, and now that he's taken over the new death, he finally has the means to do it. He breaks free and charges at our heroes, but in an unexpected twist, Mr. Fox accidentally takes him out and ends up becoming the new death himself. The Lich, being the weasel that he is, tries this.
Yes, you've taken the crown, but without a strong right hand.
Get out of here!
And that is unequivocally the end of the Lich.
Is it though?
In the sequel/spin-off series Fionna and Cake, we visit a desolate universe, devoid of all life. Well, except for BMO. He tells Fionna, Cake, and Simon that he's got a friend named Jerry. They visit his house, and what do you know?
Oh, this guy again.
The Lich here grabs a hold of them and says,
Ice Wizard, so you have risen again. In olden days, I would have rewarded your insolence with death 1,000-fold.
and surprisingly, he goes back to being dormant. Remember back in season 4 when the Lich wished for the extinction of all life? Well, I'm pretty sure this is that reality. He succeeded in killing everyone, but in doing so, just like in season 5, after Jake changed the Lich's wish, he lost all purpose. Before, he was trapped in Prisbel's time room like a robot without a function, and in this universe, the exact same thing happened, but on a grander scale. Simon then does some mystical ritual, and eventually, he and the Lich are transported to Golb's dimension. The Lich starts praying to Golb, stating how he studied its ways for years, and how in his universe, he succeeded in erasing all life. He then gets frustrated, demanding Golb to tell him what more he can do. In response, Golb picks up the Lich and mutates him into one of those floating blocks we always see orbiting Golb. Well, at least we kind of know now what happened to Margles. Now I can confidently say at the time of me making this video is the Lich's last appearance. From his introduction, the Lich stood out as an incredible villain. He didn't need complex motivations or a tragic backstory. He was simply a force of pure evil, a direct opposition to everything good. And that way, he's a lot like Vilgax from Ben 10. Sometimes the show doesn't need a layered antagonist. Sometimes you just want a villain who's terrifying, visually imposing, and has an unforgettable voice.
You're so evil, it's boring. You're basic, man.
And honestly, what's wrong with that? Villains like Voldemort, Aku, and even the Joker follow a similar mold. While Voldemort fears death, the Lich is death. In fact, you could say Voldemort splitting his soul into Horcruxes mirrors how the Lich constantly finds new vessels to possess, being reborn and always continuing his path toward annihilation. Like Aku from Samurai Jack, the Lich has demonstrated shape-shifting abilities, or at the very least, the ability to steal powers of those he possesses. And like the Joker, the Lich thrives on chaos and destruction, attacking Finn not just physically but emotionally, and succeeding time and time again. However, Adventure Time didn't settle for keeping the Lich as a static villain. Through some miracle, the embodiment of death and chaos was transformed from an undead skeleton into a newborn baby. Sweet Pea grew up kind-hearted and gentle, eventually standing up to his so-called father and defeating him. While Sweet Pea does carry a dark side that emerges when his life is in danger, it never fully takes control. From what we've seen, he manages to keep it in check, a constant reminder of the Lich's lingering presence, but also of the strength it takes to rise above it. From what we see of Sweet Pea's future, it's likely that he was mentored by Finn, with Finn becoming the Billy figure in his life. This is supported by the fact that we see Sweet Pea wielding Finn's sword, a symbolic passing of the torch, kind of. Judging by the intro sequence to the final episode, the new adventurers Shermie and Beth look up to Sweet Pea, who is now fully grown up with this majestic ass beard. I imagine that Sweet Pea is a part of the rebellion that Beth brings up in Fionna and Cake, to go against Jake's grandchild Gibbon, the mad tyrant. Speaking of Sweet Pea's dark side, I wonder if, much like Finn sometimes struggled to suppress his own desires throughout the show, perhaps during his time training with Finn after the show originally ended, he learned to manage that darkness and only unleash it against true evil. Imagine a Hall of Egress style episode, but with an adult Sweet Pea. Yeah, you know that shit would slap. If you like villains like the Lich, you'll also love my fantasy fiction novel, The Shattered Absolution. I took a lot of inspiration from Adventure Time, from the characters to the lore to some of the funny moments. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, then please check it out down below. Another interesting aspect of the Lich is that even if he had succeeded in destroying all life, it ultimately wouldn't have satisfied him. I actually can't relate more. Okay, wait, hang on. Let me explain what I'm saying. Have you ever had a goal you worked toward for a long time, only to feel empty once you finally achieved it? Like the pursuit itself was more fulfilling than the actual outcome? That's exactly what the Lich experiences. I was perfectly fine with the writers portraying him as just this pure embodiment of chaos, devoid of any other feeling, but adding that layer of complexity that achieving his goal would leave him feeling hollow is the cherry on top for his character. The Lich's story reflects Adventure Time's most important theme, change. The Lich began as a void, a force of death, decay, and finality. He wasn't just a villain, he was the cold whisper at the edge of existence, reminding us that all things must end. But just like this show has shown us time and time again, even pure evil is not immune to change. He stands as proof that even a seemingly one-dimensional villain can have one of the most profound and compelling character arcs on television. Through a twist of fate, maybe even mercy, the Lich is reborn as Sweet Pea, a child seemingly untouched by darkness, yet carrying the echo of evil. He becomes something new, not not a destroyer, but a protector. A symbol that even the end can give rise to the beginning. The Lich is the end that had to begin. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you're new around here, please subscribe. It gives me a huge boost and motivation to continue making more amazing lore breakdowns like this. Also, if you want to support me further, please check out my Patreon, where you can get early access to my videos, and a Discord server where you can have a chance to appear in one of my future videos. Check out my book down below, and I want to thank you once again for watching.